You mentioned Sleep Token earlier, which seems to be the big breakout band of this generation. What are your thoughts?
Oh, their albums are great. They're captivating, and it's one of the small corners of the entertainment industry where there's even just an ounce of mystery left. You know
Right.
what I mean? And people value
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
everything is so laid out now, and everybody has access to everybody and everything. You
Like you
know,
can literally see your favorite rapper's asshole sometimes.
yeah. I mean, if that's what if you want, sure. but it's. I think that aside from just their musicality, which they're great, um, it's something that's a little bit left to center musically, but then also, like I said, it's where else do you get any mystique at all, like in any
Hmm.
of it? Like where is the mystery in rock and roll or the scene or anything? It's like
Hmm.
everybody's you can read everybody's thoughts. You can read what everybody was thinking when they took a shit in the morning before their cup of coffee.
Hmm.
It's like, and in that band, you don't even know who's in it necessarily,
Right. Right.
Um, and I think because there isn't all of that extra baggage of who's who and what's what associated with it, that it sort of gives the audience just a more pure experience because they're not, I don't know, shackled down by who's in it. Not that people are, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. What do you think, Tino?
Yeah, dude, I really like Sleep Token. I got into them like it was like right during the pandemic and stuff like that, and it was on their last record, and I was like, man, that drummer is so nasty. Like he's so good, and the musicianship is so there, and I thought it was cool that there is a lot of mystery. And then when they started dropping their new stuff and really blowing up, I was like, I could feel nothing but like excitement for them because I felt like, damn, this band is so slept on and they're doing something that is different and original sounding enough to where it should be, one of the biggest bands of the time. Because I do think that musicianship and the way that you're able to present your brand and your art to the world, I think a lot of that stuff kind of goes hand in hand. And I thought that yeah, they're really knocking it out of the park. And it was cool to get to see them at the festival. And I don't know, they pull it off live too. You know what I mean? And they deliver a great sultry performance and shit like
Hmm.
that. You know what I mean? With the singers, like the backup singers, and just yeah, their whole thing is, I mean, it makes
It's
sense. You
it's
know what I
sick.
mean?
it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
pretty
I
it's
sick.
think it's
it's super
amazing that
sick.
they have had this much success playing music that like it has accessible moments, but I mean, these are like 6 to 9 minute songs sometimes. Like,
Right.
it's pretty challenging stuff, and they're still getting all this traction, which I think that's tough to do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
definitely. I think a lot of it just has to do with. See, it's funny because I don't even think whether it's accessible or not has a lot to do with whether it takes off, but I do think whether the audience feels it's accessible or not has a lot to do with it. Because you can have really
Mm.
complicated stuff, but if it's presented in an accessible way, it doesn't necessarily feel as challenging.
Hmm.
It's just like, oh, we'll sit here and listen through it, and it'll take you on a journey, but it's not necessarily presented like it's a Pink Floyd song or Tool song. Like you're never gonna be able to figure this one out, kid.
Sure.
You
Right.
know.
Right.
But
Right.
I do think there is a huge amount of complexity to their music that a lot of people who are discovering that band maybe aren't getting in a lot of what they're listening to, and it's presented in a way to them that doesn't seem so overwhelming, I guess. Like
Yeah.
it's not so overtly musical and cerebral that like you can't tap your foot to it. You can just sit there and ooh and groove along to it. And so yeah, it's just
Okay.
presenting new ideas with a little bit of mystique. I think very much it's the same sort of thing that happened with Ghost.
Hmm.
and
Yes.
and Ghost is
Yes.
and Ghost is massive because again, that's another. It's the music's more accessible, and you're doing something that I mean, Ghost is when Ghost came out, that was pretty left field.
Totally.
Even though it harkens back to things like Blue Oyster Cult or whatnot, it's like at the time, it's like, whoa, this is pretty different. And then you throw in the fact that it's like, oh, and not only that, but we're not actually going to tell you who's in it or everything about it, and you get to wonder. It's like so much of entertainment is about feeding your eyeballs and stimulating your brain, and not there's not that thought of like, oh, well, when it's over, I want to leave the listener wondering about stuff. We always try and do that with our music. Like I lyrically, especially, always try and do that. Like I try and leave enough breadcrumbs, but then when you're done, like maybe there's a line and you're like, what the hell is that about? It makes you wonder. And I think there are bands that are doing that, and I think that it works, especially because we're just so overindulged and overstimulated.